Water is life. Without it, no living thing on the planet would exist. From the smallest bacteria to the largest blue whale, nothing can survive without water. This is because water is the universal solvent, able to dissolve more substances than any other liquid. Wherever water goes, either through the air, the ground, or through our bodies, it can carry with it chemicals, minerals, and nutrients. For the human body, water regulates body temperature, moistens tissues in the eyes, nose, and mouth, carries nutrients and oxygen to cells, lubricates joints, flushes waste products from the kidneys and liver, and dissolves minerals and nutrients to make them accessible to your body. This is why it's so important to maintain your body's water supply, which accounts for 60% of your body weight. Humans need 9 to 12 cups of water daily. Without water, the body will die after only a few days.
For us, waking up every day, it's simple. We go downstairs, we turn on our tap, water will come out. Now imagine the family wakes up and the kid goes to the bathroom to brush his teeth. Turns on the tap and it comes out yellow or brown or chunky or smells like sulfur or smells like gas.
Water can also carry all kinds of harmful things, which is why drinking clean water is so important. Contaminated water is linked to transmission of all kinds of diseases and preventable health risks. The United Nations recognizes access to clean water as a basic human right, since it is one of the most fundamental conditions for survival. About 40% of the global population currently lacks safely managed drinking water. And this isn't just a developing nations problem. Even people in the United States and Canada lack access to clean water. Most of these people are the most vulnerable: communities of color, lower-income people in rural areas, and Indigenous communities. In Canada, there are 29 First Nations communities currently under long-term drinking water advisories. One example is Neshkantaga First Nation, an Ojibwe community in northern Ontario with a population of a few hundred people. They have been under a drinking water advisory since 1995. They must boil their water before it can touch their lips. That's over 10,000 days without access to clean water.
They can't do the things that we take for granted because they're figuring out how do I make sure my kid is gonna not die without the water, and then they're forced to pay ridiculous amounts of money to get access to water that should be coming out of their taps like everyone else. Cases of water will sell $4 or $5 a case. You go up there, $28, $29, $34 a case.
It's Canada-wide. You know, I can't pinpoint any government that we can blame. There just has been no solution so far. We've been waiting a long time. In our culture, water is life. It is the giver of life, not only for our body, for the plants that we have to nourish our people, for the waters, the rivers, the fish that we have to feed our people. You have to be well mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and water, whether how we regard it or how we use it, it's a big part of what we need and what we do.
The lack of access is not just the source of the water, but it's the cleanliness of it, it's the availability through taps or waters, it's affordability. Depending on where you are in the country, depending on your status, if you're poor, there are communities across Canada that just don't have quality access. They may have access to water, but it may be contaminated, there may be other issues with it. That's not drinkable.
My father worked for a water company for over 20 years. He would bring me to a lot of the homes where he was working on providing clean water. Typically, they were wealthy individuals, wealthy families who would be able to afford clean water, where families of poverty wouldn't have access. And he would show me the filters just after 6 months, how much gunk would build up from the tap water that the masses were drinking from. Most First Nation people don't have access to that premium water, and they don't have access to the teachings of clean water instead of the other beverages that we often put priority to.
They're hooked on other things like juices and stuff that's just going to contribute to further ailments that's going to cost the government more money. It's just going to make problems worse, and we're just falling further and further behind.
I started building a relationship with an Indigenous group out east, Gitpoo Spirit Lodge. We started talking about water, and it came up that there was these significant issues. And my background, I'm pretty good at planning and building things. So I looked at how do we do this, and from that perspective, they asked if I want to join and help them figure out how to build something to solve this. That's how I got involved in it.
In Canada, like most places, you cannot just drink directly from a water source like a river or a lake because the water contains dangerous bacteria and other harmful contaminants like heavy metals, pharmaceuticals, pesticides, insecticides, and other things. Boiling this water will only kill the bacteria. It will not remove any of the other contaminants. Expensive and complex water treatment facilities are necessary to purify the water. But this is not the case in Iceland. Due to its unique geography, Icelandic water is astonishingly pure. The entire surface of Iceland is made of volcanic rock. As precipitation seeps into natural groundwater reservoirs, it is filtered through the porous lava rock. The spring water coming up from the ground is also pure. In Iceland, hikers can fill their water bottles directly from rivers. If you do this in Canada or the United States, you're likely to get sick.
You know, the purity of it and the availability of it is unreal. It's unmatched. There's nowhere you can go in Iceland and find water that is not good for you. They don't say, don't drink this. They say, take this right out of your tap. You just can't get that in other parts of the world that I've been to and that we've looked at because the quality is just not there.
People ask the exact same thing. Why Iceland? Why Iceland water? Where are you from Canada? How do you not have the resources? If you look up north, we have a lot of natural resources. The challenge is infrastructure up there. All of our water in Canada has to be treated because there's a lot of bacteria that gets in it. We have trees and we have animals and we have, all different things. You need a treatment plant to do that. The treatment plant then has to have distribution and you have to have the capability and capacity of people within those facilities to do it. If we were to go up north and pull off the resources that are there, because it's frozen all the time, there's pipe issues, there's heating issues, you have to build an infrastructure that includes electricity and all that kind of stuff. Then the roads and the people who are going to manage it, where they're going to live. You have to have housing, you have to have stuff that they can get access to food and water and distribution back and forth, and the weather is not very forgiving. So it's very, very difficult. Then when we look at our resources closer to the border, that are open lakes and stuff like that, it's being tapped by a lot of different sources. Our natural resources are being depleted by other sources. They're not necessarily going to the communities. The other challenge that's surrounded that is where they're located. So different communities are all across the country. It's not like one specific area. We need access to water across a whole bunch of different areas. Iceland's water is pure. It doesn't need treatment, and it's ready to ship immediately to whatever communities we need. This is a critical issue. It's urgent. It's a humanitarian issue, and the only way to solve it is we need to address it today. Great, people are putting plans for 5 years from now, 10 years for infrastructure, all that kind of stuff. It means people are drinking water that's not healthy or don't get access to water or getting sick, and we're going to allow that to happen for that long. The other part is that they have logistics and distribution and all that already built. I can literally go to one plant and say, I would like 50,000 or 50 million gallons of water shipped to Canada on the East Coast within the next month. It could be on tables within weeks versus years.
This is how Iceland Blue began, as a stopgap until the ongoing humanitarian crisis is permanently solved. Bringing pure Icelandic water to Indigenous communities across Canada lacking access to clean water.
We are coming with a solution, and we have to include all the people, the water carriers, the water keepers, the grandmothers, the knowledge keepers, our youth, our elders. It's got to be a collaboration with everybody. That is our role and our responsibility as Indigenous people.
The bag-in-a-box water processing plant in the capital city of Reykjavik is quite simple. Pure, naturally filtered Icelandic water is put into vacuum-sealed bags, boxed, and is ready for shipping.
I think bag-in-a-box is one of the best ways to deliver water, I would say, within the country.
On a pallet with PET bottles, there is a volume of, let's say, 450 to 500 liters, but we have 900 liters of water which we can transport. Then we have low packaging for 5 liters. Then if you have bottles, this saves a lot of CO2 emission and also energy.
The goal is to create self-sustained programs for the communities, where the communities, because they're on their own land, and because they have to self-govern their own infrastructures, and the goal is to create these opportunities where it's not owned by the company that we established for this, it's owned by the Indigenous communities. We would work with them to go through, this is what we've been building, these are the options we think we have, how can we create solutions that will work for you, and then create the training, the infrastructure, the partnerships the constant communication, the source and supply to make sure that they always have access, but then creating the sustainable environment for them that they can continue running their own communities and not have to worry about external influences or dependency on external individuals.
The path that we walked for 20, 30,000 years was just consuming water. We didn't consume any other drink. And it's the time to start educating our young children, our next generation, the importance of clean, pure, natural water.
If someone wants to help find one of those goals that really connect with you, it could be climate change, could be poverty, could be education, could be water, could be ocean, look at what's required and start thinking about how your passion could support those initiatives, because if we're all able to collaborate, they could go on LinkedIn or Google and type in companies that are aligned to that. Lots of companies will come up, go to the contact page, look at all the resources, send an email to them saying, listen, I'm really passionate about this industry. I want to help. I don't know how I can help, but I want to, here's my thoughts. And in most cases, they'll reply. Most people are compassionate enough and they're looking for people who really want to make a difference. And then from there, they can start building their career path or their future opportunities.
We believe not only in the product, we believe in the potential partnerships around the world from like-minded people that have the best interest of the Indigenous people in mind. And then we hope the governments of the day will support us in our efforts and realize that we are coming with a solution, not just another problem. It's not about money making, it's about bringing our clean, healthy product back to our people to give us that healthy mindset.